Hello, everybody, and welcome to TRINKTalks. My name is Valerie Kathawala. I'm in New York, and I'm joined today by Paula Sidore in Germany. And we have a very special guest today, Daniel Pfitscher, talking to us from just outside of Bolzano. And we just want to let you know what to expect today. We'll have about a half an hour of informal and we hope informative conversation. We will ask you to put any questions you might have for Daniel into the chat, and we'll get to those at about the half hour. We will try to address any concerns or any questions you might have, at that time. But if we need to go a little bit longer, we understand if not everybody can stay that long. So without further ado, I will turn things over to Paula.
Hi there, and thank you, and welcome everyone. I have the pleasure of introducing Weingut Pfitscher, who's our guest today. Weingut Pfitscher is a truly special place, said every winemaker ever, to be fair, but I think here it really is true. The winery is located in the small village of Montagna, and has been growing grapes for over 150 years. One of the things that's impressed me so much has been the focus here is on respecting and supporting the individual character, be it family, be it environment, or be it fruit. The Pfitscher Winery is situated west of the Adige River, halfway up the mountain. The fruit grows in about 6 different districts, and it can be summed up as steep slopes, high sites, cool reds. Really, Pfitscher embodies this trifecta of modern Alpine wines, with sites in some cases upwards of 900 meters above sea level. Their single vineyards include not only stunning Pinots, but chiseled Sauvignon Blancs as well, and an elegant and stony Lagrein that counts among my favorites in all of South Tyrol. They were also the first winery in all of Italy to be awarded the coveted Casa Clima accreditation, something that we're going to be talking about in more detail later. 7 generations of winemaking, and currently 3 are working together with grandparents, parents, and the youngest generation, Hannes, Marian, and managing director Daniel, who we have the honor of hosting today. Daniel, I'm going to turn it over to you to give a more personal introduction. Could you just start off by telling us a little bit about your region, your estate, and what makes it so special?
What a great introduction. Thank you very much. Hello to everyone. My name is Daniel Pfitscher from the Pfitscher Winery in Alto-Adige. We are located in a very small village, which is called Montagna. Montagna is in the main area of viticulture of our region, and it is one of the most famous areas in Italy for Pinot Noir. So this is our main grape variety, but for the rest, we are very focused on high altitude vineyards because most of our vineyards are above 500 meters sea level. So within our region, we are definitely one of the wineries with the highest vineyards. Today, we cultivate 25 hectares in organic, a family-owned winery managed by my brother Hannes and me in 7th generation.
Fantastic. And where are you situated in Alto Adige? Could you just give those who are not as familiar with the region a little bit of a context so they can better understand?
Alto Adige is the northest appellation of Italy. In Alto Adige, we have 5,700 hectares, and this is less than 1% of the Italian wine production. So we are very small. But we are in the northern part, so in the Alps. It is a cool climate region. So the Italian people, they love the freshness of our wines. You can imagine in Italy, they have a lot of fish on there in the restaurants, a lot of sea, a lot of high temperatures. So they need crisp and fresh and lively wines. That's why we have a big market in Italy. In Alto Adige, which is the Italian name, and Südtirol is the German name. Maybe not every one of you know that since the First World War, we were part of Austria, and then we became Italian. So we are bilingual, German and Italian, and we speak also a little bit of English. We the most of the population speaks German, and the wine growing area is around Bolzano that you see here in the map. Bolzano is the main city of Alto-Adige, and around in the southern part mainly there is the so-called Weinstraße, so the wine roads, and along the wine roads all the viticulture grows. So 2/3 of the wine production of our region is around and in the south of Bolzano, and we are more or less in the middle between Bolzano and the border to Trentino, which is the next appellation. So we are 20 kilometers in the south of Bolzano, and other 20 kilometers in the south there is Trentino. So Montagna, as you said, Paula, is on the west coast of the Adige River. It is a smaller part than the east coast in terms of viticulture. In our village, we have around 200 hectares of grapes. And in Eppan or Kaltern, for example, one village has around, so the biggest village is Eppan with the 1,000 hectares of viticulture. So we're one of the bigger villages, but definitely not the biggest. But we are in the center of the wine growing area of Alto Adige.
Excellent, thank you. Daniel, how would you say that working as a multi-generational winery and a family business, how does that inform the work that you're doing? You have different perspectives and different outlooks. How does that come together in your viticulture and your winemaking?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first of all, the biggest step was between my grandfather and my father. This was in the 1980s, because Alto Adige was known as a bulk wine region since the 1980s. And then my father started to produce quality wines. So he entered in a big fight with my grandfather, who wanted to continue the bulk wine story, and my father wanted to produce quality wines. He was 18 or 20 years old, so more or less during night he cut off a vineyard of Fernach Schiava and he planted Pinot Noir, for example. And he was one of the first persons in our region to produce quality wines. So this was a big challenge at that times. For me and my brother, it's much easier today because he has the same philosophy as we have. And fortunately, he is also very open-minded. So now it was not a big problem to give the key of the cellar to me and to my brother for him. So now he assists us. He gives us a lot of experience, but the last decision takes my brother and me. And obviously, if you produce Pinot Noir, all of you know that this is one of the most difficult grape varieties in the world. And we definitely have a new approach thanks to Hannes, who studied enology, and he made a lot of internships in many areas, especially for Pinot Noir. But at the same time, he needs a lot of experience that he doesn't have. So thanks to my father, it's a big advantage today. And not many wineries have this structure to have a young winemaker with the newest approaches, and at the same time, my father with a history of 40 years in making Pinot Noir. So this is the biggest advantage, I would say, yeah. And for the rest, it's also easy to collaborate, because if we have if we are not in the same opinion, my father and Hannes and me, we are always in two, and my father is alone. So it's 2 against 1, and we always win.
That's great. Can I just jump off the script for a second and ask you, Daniel, since you're talking about Pinot Noir, I think there would be many people even on this call who'd be surprised to think of Pinot Noir growing at up to 500 meters elevation in your extreme northern location in Italy, maybe in Italy overall, they'd be surprised. Could you talk a little bit about how Pinot Noir came to your area and what kind of expression it gives?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pinot Noir is, I would say, it's since 10 years that it becomes really famous in our region. the heart in Europe is definitely Burgundy. We have now big success. They have now big success in Germany with Pinot Noir. But then I would say Alto-Adige comes in the top 3 places of Europe for Pinot Noir. The thing is that today we have 40 years of experience. The vines are getting older and older. And this means that also the Pinot Noirs from our region are getting better and better. We have a long history with Pinot Noir, many 100 years. But then we had a big focus on Fermage, Schiava during the bulk wine period, which was, I would say, after the Second World War to 1980. So most of the Pinot Noir disappeared and were replanted then at the beginning of the 90s mostly. And so the history of Pinot Noir, especially of quality Pinot Noir, is not old. It is maximum 40 years old. And yeah, fortunately, my father was one of the first ones in our region to plant Pinot Noir. And now we have a big portfolio of this grape variety. Just to give you an idea, in Alto-Adige we have 5,700 hectares, and we have around 500 hectares of Pinot Noir. So more or less 10% of the production is Pinot Noir, which is located in the coolest parts of our region. Italy is not famous for Pinot Noir because Italy is too warm for Pinot Noir. So Alto-Adige, as the northern region, is maybe the most the best area for this grape variety. And even in Alto-Adige, there are only 2, 3, or 4 places where we have big success in terms of quality. And in the last 40 years, we have seen that especially in our hometown, there are the most famous interpretations of Pinot Noir. And we talk about more areas. The most famous, the most historic one is called Mazzon, but also well known is Glen or Pinzon. A very growing one is Caldicch, for example. So there are 4 different areas in our hometown for Pinot Noir.
And what, thinking about this, thinking about Alpine, thinking about Pinot Noir, what for you defines a Pinot in Alto-Adige or from your state as different from Burgundy and Germany?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, I would not say that we are looking for our style, because I think that now we have a certain style. I think, especially in terms of Germany, you see that we are in the southern part of the Alps, so it is a bit warmer here. So maybe the Pinot Noirs go a bit more in a more structured and more in the riper direction. Which does not mean that it is better. We fight against this because it's getting warmer and warmer, and this is the reason why we go more and more in altitudes. Yeah, in terms of Burgundy, obviously it's difficult to say because they have so much experience with Pinot Noir and they have so many different styles and interpretations of Pinot Noir. We have to see what's the direction. Because in terms of aging potential, for example, we don't have a lot of experience for Pinot Noir. And now we had the Summa, which is a famous wine fair in our region. And the day before, I had a tasting with a lot of German sommeliers in our winery. And we tasted Blauburgunder, which is the local name of Pinot Noir, 1986, which was one of the first vintages of my father. And this was impressive because it was so lively. It had acidity, obviously in terms of structure and of ripeness. It was not at the same level as it is today, but 12 alcohol, high acidity. So we see that sometimes we have a lot of aging potential, but we are in a very growing period now, and we need to see how the wine will develop in the next years.
Great. Can you tell a little bit more about the award-winning Pinot that you produce, Langenfeld? Because I think that one really stands out for being so highly rated and also so high in its area of cultivation. Be interesting to know more about the terroir, especially the soils, the way you trellis the vines there, the kind of farming you do, and then also the winemaking and how it might be different for that site than others.
Yeah, thank you for this question, because this is a very important and new project of us. We released in November a new wine that is called Pinot Noir Reserva Vigna das Langefeld. Vigna is the local name for, yeah, let's call it Grand Cru, and das Langefeld is the name of the parcel. And the important fact is that this parcel was planted in 1984. So my father was one of the first in Alto-Adige to plant Pinot Noir. But you have to know that at these years they had no experience with clones, with densities, and with many other information. And he, in his own, he started to visit other wine regions with the pioneers of today of our region, Alois Lageder, Louis Reifer, and many other winemakers. They started and they went to Burgundy, to Bordeaux, to Tuscany, and to many other areas. And then he learned how to plant a vineyard to produce a high quality wine. And in this year, he started to plant Pinot Noir with the clones that we use today. So the typical Burgundy French clones that we all know. He planted a high density of vines per hectare, so 8,000 vines per hectare. And so he planted at that year the vineyard how we would do this today. And this is our luck that today this vineyard is 40 years old. And that's why we decided to vinificate this small piece of land separately and to release it in last November for the first year with the vintage 2019. It is located today in the area of Glen, that together with Matzon, both areas border. Glen is a bit higher than Matzon, so it's a very famous area. We have a lot of limestone there. We have an altitude of 550 meters of sea level. So in this area, the Pinot Noir grows between 500 and 700 meters sea level. So this is high. The highest ones today in our region are 900 meters, maybe also 1,000 meters, but I would say more 900 than 1,000. And then we are on the foothills of a natural park, which is called Monte Corno. And this brings a lot of fresh air during the night. And this brings us again a lot of freshness during the night, but at the same time, the ripeness that we need thanks to the warm temperatures, because at the end we are in the southern part of the Alps. So it can be warm in our area. So we fight more against to have freshness than ripeness. So it is maybe a bit too hot than too cool. And that's why we all go in altitude. Yeah. So to answer your question, this is a bit the big story of our new flagship wine, das Langefeld. And yeah, we always vinificated this wine separately. So we know since 40 years how it tastes. And in the last years, we have seen that it is incredible quality in terms of deepness, of importance. And so now we are very happy to have the new wine. Yeah. And as you said before, this was at the same time in November, it was rewarded by Falstaff with 97 points as the best Pinot Noir. So we were very happy about this.
Congratulations. Just to go back a little bit more to the specifics of the winemaking, can you talk a little bit about your harvesting time, your yeast, your extraction, élevage?
We usually we harvest at the beginning of September. It happened also at the last days of August. But this is also one of the reasons why we go in the higher parts, because high altitudes we harvest at the mid-end of September or even in October. And this is a big advantage because we have cool nights in this period. We don't have cool nights at the end of August. So this is a big fact. Yeah, we work in organic. This is a big quality advantage that we have. We in the cellar we try to do as less as possible, especially for Pinot Noir. We work a lot with spontaneous fermentations. We work a lot with whole bunch fermentations. For example, when we bottle, we do no fining for the wines, so we try not to interrupt the balance that the wine has.
Great.
Fantastic. Well, I think that is your mention of organic is the perfect bridge into. I think a lot of people will say that they're organic, but you really took it to the next step. In 2011, you debuted the first Klima house in Italy, right? And thus received the first Casa Klima certification. Can you talk a bit about that? That must have been a pretty intense process. What led you to do this, and what did the certification process entail?
This certification was released during the construction of our new winery. We built a new winery in 2011 in the middle of our vineyards. And during this process, we were informed that this new certification was released. And then we started to inform us, and we received it then at the end as the first winery in Italy. So to keep it short, there are 42 criteria that we need to respect. They are all regarding energy consumption and CO2 reduction. I make you some examples. We have a photovoltaic system, a solar system. We collect rainwater that we reuse for irrigation. We try to reduce the CO2 emission by using light bottles. So our bottles are between 390 gram to 500 gram. So this is not the cultivating part. This is not certified. It is more the thinking and acting of the winery. And yeah, this was in 2011. We received it as the first winery. Now there are around 10 wineries, all in Italy. This is an Italian certification. And I think in terms of sustainability, my father was definitely a pioneer, because this was in 2011, where no one had problems with energy and with gas, and even the climate change was not so famous as it is now. So he was definitely a pioneer. For organic instead, we started also in this year's. We went in conversion last year, and from harvest 2025, all the wines will be certified.
Fantastic. Did you find, as you were going through, when you made the decision to receive the certification, did it change anything if you were already in the process of building? Did you make any different decisions as a result?
In terms, yeah, sure. For example, it was a big investment. We needed to invest much more money because maybe we would have wait to install a photovoltaic system or a solar system or many other energetic technical parts of the winery. So this was a big investment that we need to make. And then obviously, if you start with this acting, you want to do it at 100%, and this is why we do now everything in a very sustainable and energetic way, especially the winemaking then. So I'm very happy. At the end, I'm happy that today the wine world has more sensibility for this, for light bottles, for organic cultivations. We don't do the organic cultivation only because we want to have everything as natural as possible, but because of quality reasons. We see that we are able to produce better grapes now, and only if you have good grapes, you are able to produce a good wine. So for us, it's easy.
Thank you.
I'm curious, Alto-Adige has not been at the forefront of adoption of organic viticulture. It seems like it's a region that struggles a little bit for many reasons. What are some of the challenges that you faced in converting to organics?
Yeah, this is right. I think today around 10% of the total production of our region is certified. Yeah, it is more difficult, definitely. Also, we are fighting a lot in the vineyards because the higher you go, the steeper it is. And this is the key fact. If it is steep, you have to do a lot by hand. And if you work in organic, you have to make more treatments. Okay, you do better treatments, but more treatments. And when it rains, it rains. And then you have to be able, you must treat within 1 day. And not everyone can do this in these steep slopes. So it is definitely very difficult to work in organic in our region. But you can do it. And we are, I think, a testimonial of this. We are handling even last year, which was a very difficult year in Italy, because we had a lot of rain last year, and we had some problems, but not important problems. And so we have seen that you can do it if you have a lot of passion and if you have a clear idea of producing high quality wines.
Are you working with an especially big team, or do you use anything like drones for your vine treatments?
No, we don't use drones because they cannot transport so much water at the moment, so it is not so easy. You could do this in biodynamic with the preparate because you need less water, and so it weighs much less. We don't work in biodynamic. This is maybe the next step. For now, it is organic. We don't use helicopters. We use a lot of handwork because there are some vineyards where we have to make the treatments and everything by hand. We have a lot of very small tractors and a lot of passionate workers. So our team members have an incredible passion to do it and to do with the culture in this way.
Great.
Fantastic. You're just back fresh from Vinitaly, which is Italy's major Italian wine fair. What sort of things did you see while you were there? Did you notice any differences, both either within your region or within all of Italy, that you think you'd like to draw some attention to?
Yeah. So first of all, it was again a big success. It's incredible how Vinitaly is again restarting. I think there were around 100,000 visitors. There can enter also private, passionate persons, but also trade and journalists and so on. And I've seen a trend this year, yes, especially this year, for at the end for Alpine wines, so for fresh wines, more white wine or light red wines. This was really a big fact this year. So we had a lot of international guests that maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago, they didn't know what Alto-Adige is. And this time they came to our hall, and I asked them, what are you doing here? And all of them say, yes, I look for white wine and light red wine. I look for cool climate wine. I look for grape varieties like Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, Pinot Bianco, Pinot Noir. And yes, that's why I'm here. And all the other halls, I think Alto-Adige was one of the most frequented halls, definitely. And this shows that it is going in this direction. So we have seen many statistics last year that the wine consumption goes in this direction. And this year at Vinitaly, this was the big new fact for me. Also last year, but especially this year. Yeah. So this is very interesting.
That is interesting. How about the trend that we're all noticing toward non-alcoholic wines? Is that something that's happening in Alto Adige or at your estate?
Yeah, I see a trend also in this way. And there is also a famous wine producer in Alto Adige who is producing a non-alcoholic wine. This was also a big discussion at this year's Vinitaly, why they cannot call a non-alcoholic wine a wine. And I've seen the communication last day from a Vinitaly manager that maybe next year they will plan a hall for non-alcoholic wine. So it will definitely be a trend. We are not investing for now in this project because we want to focus on what we can do at our best. So for now, we have no projects.
Okay, great.
Fantastic. I think we are officially out of time. We try really hard for those who are coming to visit to make sure that we wrap things up when we can. If there are any questions, put them in the chat. I didn't see any there right now. Valerie, did you see anything or?
Nope, but maybe Daniel, you could just let everybody know where they can find you, follow you, and find out more about your wines.
Yes, if you are in our area, visit us. We are in the middle of the Dolomites. So if you plan some mountain tour to the Dolomites, it is on the way to a winery. If you want to try the wines in US or everywhere else, we are imported by Archetype, who has a big possibility to sell our wines in many states of US, and they have also most of our wines in their portfolio and most of our Pinot Noir. But for the rest, it is nice that I can talk to all of you about our wines because we are a small winery at the end, and I'm very thankful that you give us this opportunity today.
It's absolutely our pleasure. I think before we let you go, I just would love to give a special shout out to someone who I think is on our call, who is Eric Wood, who is the importer at Archetype, and he has come up with, together with a cartographer, this incredible map, which I think really puts Alpine wines in context, and you can see Daniel's home region right there in pink, right in the heart of things. So I also just dropped the link in for anyone who might be interested in learning more about the maps and archetypes. That's in the chat.
If I can add something, because I see it in the comments today. So our wines are available for private consumers through Archetype, and also for HoReCa channel. And also in New York and New Jersey, we are represented by Vera Wine and Spirits, especially for HoReCa channels. But so we have a small visibility also in the US market. So we are very happy about this. So thank you to Archetype and Vera Wine and Spirits for giving us this possibility.
We're delighted to know
Wonderful.
that they're here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And Paula, do you want to talk about what's next for Trink Talks?
Sure. Thank you, Daniel, for taking the time out to come and talk with us at a really busy time. Really appreciate it. And as always, it's great to see you. Next month, we are very excited to announce that our next focus will be on the Mosel. In fact, throughout the entire month of May, we're going to be bringing forth a 5-star lineup of new stories from some of Trink's most popular writers, highlighting readers' favorites and digging deep, as always, into a wide range of topics and including a few insider highlights. So stay tuned. We'll be announcing it both on the website as well as in our newsletter for the date and speaker. And we hope to see you there. Once again, Daniel, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It was a big pleasure for me. Thank you all.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone,
Take
for
care.
joining us from coffee hour to happy hour. We hope you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.